I just point to the logo on my chest and tell them, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. Hit it up hard, hit it with strike, from the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode, 334 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden here. You, Darvish, may be a Padre for life. Might be a Padre for the remainder of his career. This is huge. The Padres, according to AJ Cassavell, they have agreed to an extension with you, Darvish, through 2028. 6 years, $108 million. So 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. So 6 years, 108 mil. So they rip up, I guess, this last year of the contract, and they just make it 6 years, $108 million. That's, I believe, $18 million a year. This is big. This is big. You, Darvish, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He is the ace of this Padres rotation. This is very surprising. I definitely was not expecting you, Darvish, to sign an extension right now. This should have been, I said this last night, talking about Ohtani, when that latest nugget came out from John Heyman. I said, Manny and Darvish, those need to be the priorities right now. Like, that's what the Padres can control. They can control the conversations that they have with Manny Machado on an extension. They can control the conversations that they have with you, Darvish, on an extension, right? And they're controlling that. They had the conversations with you, Darvish. We were not hearing about conversations, by the way, with you, Darvish, at all. Like, we were hearing, okay, maybe they're going to talk with Manny in the next couple weeks. We did not hear about you, Darvish. So this came out of nowhere, but some of the major moves that AJ makes comes out of nowhere. And so this is big. This is big because the future of the rotation was in question. There was a lot of questions, and there's still going to be questions in the future on this rotation. But you add an all-star pitcher you keep an all-star pitcher to this rotation, alongside Joe Musgrove for the next 5 years after this, right? Because this extension, Darvish's extension is 1 year after Musgrove. But the majority of the contract extensions for Darvish, for Musgrove, those two guys, they line up pretty much with each other. And so you're going to have Darvish and Musgrove in this rotation for the next 5 years at least, for, having both of them. And that's big. You want that top of the rotation. And maybe they go get Corbin Burns, trade for him, or they go get another big free agent starting pitcher next offseason or in a few offseasons. And Musgrove and Darvish, they're not the same pitchers that they were. But right now, that's all we know about, right? What are they doing right now? And right now, they're the Padres' two best starting pitchers. And we have them locked up for the next 5 years with both of them in the rotation. 6 years for Darvish, including this year. Huge. As for the deal itself, 6 years, $108 million. I am surprised by that. I am surprised that the Padres gave Darvish 6 years. When the Padres and Darvish, right, we were hearing some stuff with AJ Preller, like earlier in the offseason. I think it was around the GM meetings. AJ was going to talk with you, Darvish, his representation. And I was thinking it was going to be maybe 2-3 year extension, because Darvish said recently to the media, I think it was to the media at the end of last season, talking about how he didn't know how much longer he was going to do this. So I was like, okay, it's not going to be a long-term deal. He ends up getting the same deal that Musgrove gets, pretty much, in terms of years, like added on to a contract. Musgrove was 5 for $100, and Darvish is 6, 108. So 5 years less than what Musgrove got. And so I am surprised by the years. Ken Rosenthal says right here, Darvish turns 37 in the month of August. He will be 42 years old at the completion of this contract. So yeah, that is a risk for the Padres, paying Darvish till he's 42. But look at what other guys, right? Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer. What's Verlander's age right now? Verlander is, he has to be close to 40, right? He's 39, and he just agreed to a two-year deal, I believe, 86.6 mil. So he's going to be in his 40s, at the end of that. And he just won the Cy Young in his late 30s, right? So Darvish can still pitch to that elite level with the rehab and how much more seriously pitchers are taking their rehab in between start preparation and recovery, how serious they're taking that. You can give guys, I think it's less of a risk. It's still a risk here, this Darvish deal, but it's less of a risk to give a contract to a pitcher. And he's a great pitcher. It's not like he's some middle of the pack guy. This guy is an ace. The Padres can be more comfortable giving him this length of a deal with how things have evolved, how much more serious pitchers take. Again, that in between portion between starts, if that makes it, the in between time, in between starts. So yeah, this is big because next year, right? What was like the worst case scenario for next year 24 hours ago? It was having Musgrove. Maybe it was forcing Nick Martinez to come back. And then what was it after that? I think Seth Lugo can opt out. Darvish, what if Darvish and Snell left? You had two people in the rotation. So Jay Groom was going to be in there as your 4 or 5 starter. He might still end up being that next year. But I'm a whole lot more comfortable with the future of the Padres, these next 5 years after 2023, next 4 years after 2023, with this news, knowing that Darvish and Musgrove are going to be at the top or in the middle of the rotation, whatever. They're going to be in the rotation through 2027. Both of those guys. 2028 for Darvish. But yeah, this is big. I mean, and I don't see you Darvish slowing down anytime soon. Maybe he slows down after like year 3 of this contract, so after 2025. But last year, he had an ERA almost below 3, 30 starts, almost 200 innings. You don't see many starting pitchers in baseball have almost 200 innings, have over 200 innings in seasons. His whip was below 1, had a WAR above 4. Let's look at his projections. 2023 ERA below 4, over 170 innings. This is according to Baseball Reference. A whip just above 1, get to almost 180 strikeouts. And look at the starts. This is what stands out to me. He keeps himself healthy. These last 3 full seasons, 2019 with the Cubs, 31 starts, over 170 innings. 2020, I'm not counting that. He had a 2.01 ERA in that short year, but that was a small sample size. Whatever. 2021 was an all-star with the Padres, 30 starts, over 165 innings. 2022 with the Padres, an ERA just above 3, 30 starts, almost 200 innings. Almost had 200 strikeouts, had 197 strikeouts 2022, 199 strikeouts in 2021, 229 strikeouts in 2019. The last 3 full seasons, he has made at least 30 starts. This guy stays healthy. It's not a guarantee he's going to stay healthy over the course of this contract, but if you want to sign someone to a deal that's probably longer than you want to, but you had to do it because this is what I guess Darvish wanted. Again, I'm surprised by the length, but this is what Darvish wanted. You had to do it for this long, I guess. This is a guy that you're comfortable probably doing that too. This isn't Blake Snell that the Padres are giving a long deal to at the age of 37. No, it's you, Darvish, at the age, well, it's not 37, age 35 right now, age 36 season in 2023. Right? This isn't a guy that has, not been able to stay healthy recently. So I love this deal for the Padres. I mean, Darvish, he performed in the postseason too. Look at wild card. Let me look up. I just want to go through his postseason numbers. again, wild card game 1. Padres obviously won that game. And he went 7 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. The 1 run was a home run. And then NLDS game 2 against the Dodgers, 5 innings, 3 runs, struck out 7. Padres won that game. He kept the Padres in that game. They won 5-3. That was the game. Profar had a good game. Crony had the big insurance home run, right? He was huge on the base paths, on defense, obviously at the plate. The bullpen came in after Darvish. NLCS game 1, he pitched tremendously. Zach Wheeler just pitched more tremendously. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He gave up 3 hits. Yeah, Schwarber hit one to LA, but I mean, he pitched tremendously. 7 really strong innings there in NLCS game 1 for the Padres against the Phillies there. And then game 5, 6 innings, 2 runs. Every start, his worst start was 5 innings, 3 runs. But again, 3 of those 4 starts this past postseason. 7 innings, 1 run. NLCS game 1, 7 innings, 2 runs. 6 innings, 2 runs in game 5. Like, this guy shows up in the postseason, or at least for the Padres he has. And so to have, we know the rotation, there's some questions at the back end this season, and AJ Preller, he's probably going to address those at some point. But this was one of the biggest priorities for the Padres. Heading into spring training, before the season, during the season, if they weren't going to get this extension done, it was going to loom over the franchise. Yes, there is going to be a ton of attention on a Manny Machado extension, and I'm sure that that was going to be the big story, right? And I think San Diego as a whole, we weren't really focusing on a Darvish extension, or at least shows I was listening to, or I don't think I hit on it enough, to be honest. And I probably should have talked more and been more worried about a Darvish extension. Maybe it's because I thought that this Darvish extension was just going to happen, so I wasn't worried about it. I think a Manny extension is going to happen too, but Manny is the bigger player, But yeah, it was Manny and Darvish expiring contracts. Snell, Boris Client, seems like he's going to free agency. Like, that's sure. Would I be open to a Snell extension? Yeah, but Manny and Darvish, that was the priority. And Manny is still a priority. And Darvish, we can exhale on that. We can check that off the list. The Padres can check that off of their list. And they can really make Manny the full focus leading up to spring training, going into spring training, when Manny gets back from the WBC. So that's my reaction to that. Again, if you want to join the show, give your thoughts in person to me here on the show, you can click that link that I have. I think it's pinned on YouTube in the comments. So just click that link. Go all the way to the top of the live chat, and the link is there. Copy and paste that if you want to join the show. Let me get some other people's reaction here. Colton, LFG. Kyle says, great freaking signing. Years a little much, but the way you pitches, he could pitch that long. Yeah, I agree. Like you, Darvish, like I said earlier, this is a guy that I'm fine giving a longer contract to. Like, look, the Padres, they're trying to go all in, right? And they want this core of players, Darvish included, Musgrove included, Manny, obviously they hope. They want this core of players to be here. They don't want this to be a small 2-year window, right? When Soto's here. No, they want this to be extended. Tatis, they want Manny extended. Xander, Musgrove, Darvish, Cronenworth, Suarez, right? Like, that's a solid group of players there. And obviously you want Soto to come back. We'll see what happens with the Ohtani rumors and all that. But you want that group of players. And that's exactly what has happened with the Padres here. Is they have taken another step to keeping that core intact for the next 5 years after this season. We can just say the next 5 years because Musgrove is through these 5 years, including 2023. And I don't know what Darvish is going to be when he's, 42? Fly God 97, let's go, Peter. Mike says, good news for the next 3 years. I don't know about the 3 years after that. Got to pick up some good young starters somehow. Yeah. And Dylan Lesko, who knows if he'll be traded, but maybe he'll be up at some point at the end of this Darvish contract when the Musgrove contract's kind of coming to an end. We'll see what happens there. We know the Padres, they do have prospects that other teams are interested in. So trades could happen. We could have Corbin Burns or Brandon Woodruff on this team later in the year. We could have Edward Cabrera or Jesus Luzardo on this team later in the year if that's the move AJ decides to make, right? Who knows? And to get to that the last 3 years of this, Mike, it's kind of like Bogarts. Like, we cannot control that, right? Like, who cares about those years right now, right? The Padres' best time to win a championship is right now. This season, next season, if they don't, if Soto's on the team, which I expect him to be, this year, next year, the year after that, like when these guys are in their primes, their best years, this is the time, right? Musgrove's in his prime. Darvish, I would still say, is in his prime right now. Maybe a couple years down the road, he's not, but you still have an ace in that rotation, right? Robert Suarez in his prime. Like, this is when you do it. Cronenworth in his prime, not costing a lot of money. You're going for it right now. So the 3 years after these first three, like, they can worry about that later, right? They needed to keep Darvish here, and they've done that. Gil says, what a effing horrible contract to give out the day I stopped following the Padres. I hopefully he's just kidding about that. I don't think this is a horrible contract. Like, it's $18 million a year. Okay? $108 million divided by 6. I think that's the math. Let me double check that. Yeah, $18 million a year. For you, Darvish, like, based on the amount of money that some pitchers are getting, Garrett Cole, his contract, what is his contract? Let me look up how much money he's getting. Justin Verlander, he's getting like what, $43 million a year or something from the Mets. That's what Max Scherzer's getting too. $18 million a year for Darvish. When you think of it that way, you don't think of it as a terrible contract. I understand some fans are going to say, "Oh, it's a terrible contract," or they might not like the back end of the contract. But we can't be worrying about the back end of the contract right now. Okay? Garrett Cole. Looking up Garrett Cole's contract right now. If Spot Track wants to load here. He's getting $36 million a year. Darvish is getting half of that in this contract. Is Garrett Cole that much better of a pitcher than you, Darvish? Like, he deserves double the amount that you, Darvish, does? I don't think so. So if you look at it that way, I don't think it's that bad of a deal. Like, maybe Darvish, I don't know if he wanted to pitch for the next 6 years, but maybe he was like, well, this lowers the AAV, so I'll take it. And if the Padres just don't want me for that last season, all right, I'll retire and they'll pay that. If he wants 5 years and not 6, like this, I think some of this deal too is not just Darvish getting the most years. I think he got over $100 million in this deal at the age, 35, 36, however old Darvish is right now. How old is he? 36. At 36, he got over 100 mil. All right, and he's set. He's set for life. He's good. Lower the AAV, getting 6 years, right? I thought it was going to be like 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying you'd have given him $100 million, $108 million if it was only going to be 2-3 years, but I thought the contract was going to be shorter. But I'm fine. I wanted Darvish for the next 3 years at least, and that's what the Padres got. Pedro says perfectly priced. Verlander just won the Cy Young, close to 40 years of age. Yeah. Again, like I talked about earlier, these guys prepare so much better than they did, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So giving contracts to great pitchers at older ages, teams are more comfortable doing that than they were probably a decade ago. Kyle says, I bet if we extend Manny or reconstruct his contract that Soto stays or signs an extension. I also think vice versa. This is a bigger deal than most people think. Well, okay, so the Darvish thing, bringing back Darvish like that should tell Manny that the Padres, this isn't just a window, right? The next 5 years, at least, they really want to try to win here, like multiple championships, right? I know you got to get one first, but I'm just saying that's probably what the Padres' thought process is here. This isn't like a 1 or 2 year thing, and then Manny's going to be stuck here with nothing. Like the Padres, they're trying to do this for a long period of time here. So I think this news, this Darvish news, can only be positive for the Manny talks. If Manny gets extended, I don't think that means that Soto's going to stay or resign. Like Soto's going to need to get paid his money too, and he's going to get paid much more money than Manny's going to get. I'll say that. Let's say Manny gets 300. Well, Soto's going to get over 400. He might get 500 million from a team, right? What if someone gives him 15 years, 500 mil? Like some team could do that. Some teams are thinking about giving Ohtani 500 mil, and he's much older than Soto, like 4 years older. So I disagree there, Kyle, that if Manny gets extended, the contract gets restructured, that Soto stays. I don't think so. All right, we'll get to the rest of the chat here, but it looks like Blue is here. I'll add him on to the show here.
Yo,
what's up, man? How do you feel about this deal?
Let me turn on the other. Okay, my bad. What's up, bro? What's up? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. What are your thoughts about the Darvish thing? I just tuned in a little bit. Trying to get this to work.
Yeah, no, you're good. I love the deal. I think this is kind of like the Bogarts thing. I know Bogarts is a lot longer than Darvish.
Yeah.
But the back end of this contract, I don't care about right now. Like the Padres,
that's how I feel.
They're trying to win right now. And so having him here for the next like 3 years, and this is the prime window for the Padres to win right now. That's what I care about. That's all we can control is right now. Right. So Soto's here for the next 2 years. All right. Darvish is going to be here for the next 2 years. Musgrove's going to be here. Bogarts, Tatis, Soto, Manny, hopefully for next year. We know he's going to be here this year.
Yeah.
So I think the Padres, they're not looking at this as like a 2-year window. They're saying, okay, the next like 5 years, we're really serious and we'll see what happens down the road. But we're trying to keep guys that are really, really important to this team right now. And we saw in the postseason how important Darvish was to this team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went to that game too, Dodgers versus Padres. I was there. And, I mean, being there, like, I didn't see how many times he actually got robbed of pitches too. Like the Max Muncy home run shouldn't have even been a home run. You should have gotten him on a strikeout already. And, like, when you're there, you kind of can't see it as well because you're not, like, seeing on TV, you can't see every pitch. Right. So, like, after the game, I was kind of like, well, Darvish, he did pretty okay. And then I, like, kind of watched it back, and I was like, no, he actually did a lot better than I thought. But no, he's definitely really important to this team, brings that experience, the playoff experience. He has 11 pitches to his Arzatol, so that's like he only gets better. Like, and I actually noticed this because I make a little bit of content as well, like we said. And I think he actually had his best season of his career. He if you take away his Giants start, like he gave up like 7 runs, I think.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
Like his ERA would have been 2.70, which is his best career ERA. So it's like he just had the best season of his career. He only gets better. He ages like fine wine. I don't want to compare him to Verlander because he doesn't overpower people, but he definitely has the finding like wine type stuff where he just gets better. He's a competitor. He wants to win. I remember that game, like he didn't want to win game 2 Dodger Stadium, or he didn't want to lose because of the fact that he lost there before. And he remembered how his family felt, and he didn't want that same feeling. And it's like, dude, this dude cares. And like, I just love that. I love that. And I think we need pitchers. Like we said, we only have Musgrove right now and maybe Seth Lugo, depending on how that goes. And, but like, there's a lot of question marks for this rotation, and we can't just put all our money into the lineup. So I like this. I think it's a good move. Darvish is, if there's a person I want to give that money to right now for him to work out, I think it's Darvish. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anything else?
No, yeah, I think that's it, man. I really appreciate your work, and I love it.
Yeah, thanks. See ya. All right, so thank you to him. All right, so yeah, getting back to Darvish and just the extension, like there's no one that I'd rather see stay with the Padres for the next 5-6 years like this, like Darvish is on this current team. Like Snell, would I be like super pumped to bring him in on a long-term deal like this? I don't know, because he has not proven that he can have 30 starts every year and dominate, throughout the season and be consistent. And so I think another team's probably going to overpay for him. But for Darvish, like I talked about earlier, 2019, last 3 full seasons, he's made at least 30 starts, 31 in 2019, 30 in 2021, 30 in 2022. Like, that's consistency right there. That is consistency. And Musgrove, he has stayed healthy with the Padres. So if you have 2 top starters like that in the rotation that you can rely upon, that is huge. Now, that's not a guarantee that that's going to continue in 2023 or 2024, but I can only go off of what we've seen with them in a Padres uniform, right? Alex says Snell is live on Twitch right now, and he was talking about it. I'm sure he's pumped up. Pumped up for you. I mean, I don't know if he's pumped up because he knows he's going to stay long term with the Padres, and we just don't know about it. But he's probably just pumped up because his teammate got locked up. And that also shows him that the Padres are willing to spend a bunch of money on starting pitchers as well, right? I'm just trying to see through Twitter here to see if there's any other news on this Darvish stuff. By the way, the World Baseball Classic rosters are going to be announced later today on MLB Network, and Darvish is going to be pitching with Team Japan. Guess who else is on Team Japan? Shohei Ohtani. So maybe Darvish could get some recruitment going there, on the buses going back from hotel in the stadium or in the clubhouse, just some light chatter. Hey, Padres, they just extended me. They got a lot of money. We're trying to win. You can't do that with the Angels. AJ Preller loves you. You maybe wanted to come here if there was the DH the last time around, before you signed with the Angels. You can stay in Southern California. You get to play with Fernando, Manny, Bogarts, me, Musgrove, Suarez, Cronenworth. Maybe you should think about it. So again, for Darvish, it's 6 years, $108 million contract extension. Deal starts this season. So they're just scrapping 2023, that contract. And then it runs through the 2028 season when Darvish will be 42 years old. I love this deal. All right, so if you want to join the show, join the stream, give your thoughts, just like Blue did, feel free to click that link that I pinned in the chat, or just scroll all the way up in the live chat. Just copy and paste that in, and you'll be able to join the show to give your thoughts. All right, let's get back to the chat here. Yes, I agree with this. Our window is now. Yep, that's what the Padres are doing here. I mean, Peter Seidler, he has already said in the past, I think this was at the end of the season press conference, that he doesn't believe in windows. Like this is trying to be like year in, year out, like the Dodgers have been. Try to win year in, year out. And he's proven it with the way that he's constructing the roster, and he's locking up guys for years and years to come. This wasn't a 2 or 3 year deal. No, it was 6. 5 years beyond this season, which he was already obviously here for. So yeah. So I agree the window's like the time to win is now. I don't really agree the window is now, because based on the way the Padres are going about things, they don't want this to be a window, right? There's a ton of pressure to win this year, but they don't want to view this as a window. They want to view this as a long span of time, not just a small span, a long span of time where they're going to continue to get better, continue to have this same core of players intact to keep their chances, keep strong chances of winning, Yeah, Kyle asked a good question here. Would you rather be hitting against Darvish next year or have him on the Padres? I agree the years are a little long. but they did this deal so he could be our 1 or 2 for the next 3 to 4 years. Yeah, I agree. I would not want our guys having to face you, Darvish, in a playoff game. Did you see the way he faced the Mets and pitching against the Phillies and how great he was? I'm good. I'd love to have Darvish on my team in those postseason games, not the other way. Right? Darvish could have went and signed with the Mets or signed with another National League team, and he would know everything about the Padres. Right? So yeah, this is big. Great pitcher, smart pitcher. It seems like he really likes it here, obviously. So yeah, this is a win. Yeah, Kyle says every free agent right now is signing crazy long deals. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is the Padres kind of adapting to what the free agents are getting, right? Darvish may have wanted to sign a 2 or a 3 year deal, but he just saw some pitchers get longer deals than he probably thought they were going to get. And Bogarts, did we think, I know that's not a pitcher, but did we think Bogarts was going to get an 11-year deal? No, but he got it, right? It's about the AAV, lowering the AAV. And the Padres, in Darvish, they got to lower this average annual value to $18 million a year instead of having to give him over $30 million a year for a shorter deal. Like some guys, like Scherzer and Verlander. I know those guys are older, but that's a short-term deal, but they're paying $40 million a year for that. 18 for Darvish. Pedro says, "Let's get Snell on Ben's stream." Yeah, I mean, where is he? He's on Twitch right now? Let me look that up, actually. I don't think I can broadcast his thing, but I'm going to look up Snell on Twitch here and see. He is live. Okay, they're showing an ad right now. You know what? I'm gonna send Snell a message right here and say, I'm gonna go for it and say, hey, you want to join my stream? Let's see if Blake clicks this. Oh, hang on, I can't. Anthony, I'll get to you. I see you here in the room. Thank you so much. I'll get to you here in a second. All right, I left that in his chat. Let's see what happens. You guys go on Snell's Twitch and put the link in his chat. All right, Anthony here. Thank you so much for joining. What's up? What are your thoughts on this Darvish deal?
I like the deal, but am I still your biggest super chat?
I believe you are. Yeah.
I was your first, wasn't I?
I think you were. Yes. Thank you for that.
Okay. You're welcome. As you said, if you went to a free agent, what would he get? $30 million a year for
Probably.
3 years?
The way that the market's going, yeah.
So that's $90 million 1 year for 18, so you get the last 2 years for free?
Pretty much. If you do the
Great
math
deal.
like that, yeah. And we know all about, the front office is thinking right now, it's all about getting that AAV down so that they can get the luxury tax down. So sometimes some of these contracts, maybe Bogarts doesn't go for 11 years here and they just pay the last 3 years and that's just what happens. Or Darvish doesn't play the last year or last 2 years and they just pay it. But right now, you get the AAV at 18 million a year and you don't have to pay 30 plus million a year, which is what like Garrett Cole's getting. Like that's a win, I think, for the Padres.
I think it's great. I think Manny will go for $350 for 10 years with a 5-year opt-out.
Really? Well, okay. So a 5-year. Well, what does the 5-year opt-out do for Manny? Like what benefit does that give to Manny?
Because the TV deals may go up and he may not be the top paid third baseman at the time and he wants to be top paid. Right now,
right.
Was it Rodon is top paid at $34 million a year? So you got to pay Manny $35.
Right. I think the opt-out worked for Manny's first contract here because he's 30 right now. So he could get another long deal, but if he opts out after 5 years, he'd be 35, 36. Like that's you're not going to get a 10-year contract from that. And so I think this is his last long-term deal, and this is a contract like Bogart's where he's just going to finish his career with whatever team he signs the contract to. And if it's 350, let's say it's 350. I think that the Padres would try to spread that out and not have it be 10 years, have it be like 12, 13. And if you're paying him till he's 43, okay, whatever. That's better than paying him 35 million a year and having that luxury tax be higher, you know?
That is true, but if you don't pay him 35, he won't sign because Rodon gets 34.
Yeah, but does he care about the AAV or does he just care about getting more than Devers? Why should he care about that? No, why should he care about the AAV? Like they just care about the total money. He's getting 350, let's say. Okay, he's getting 350. Like Bogarts, he didn't care about the AAV. He's saying, I got $280 million. I'm not getting that anywhere else. So I'm taking that.
The difference is if you're a player that plays and win, you want to be the best. You want to be the top. The only way he can say he was the best third baseman is he got paid the highest.
The most money, not the highest per year. I don't know about the highest per year. I don't know.
Per year, because once he starts shrinking, he'll still be the top paid third baseman. I mean, he is the top third baseman on MLB. So he should get the top paid. And if he's not, that's Rodon that didn't play last year. So we need to pay him. And with the TV contracts, 5 years from now, $35 million won't be that bad.
Yeah, it definitely could happen. All right, anything else, Anthony?
That's good. I appreciate what you do. Keep doing it.
All right, thank you so much for joining. See ya. All right, that was Anthony. Thank you, everyone that has joined. If you want to join, again, do what Anthony did. Just click that link. I'll put it in again. Here it is. Or you can just go to the top of the chat. I think it's pinned on YouTube. All right. So I'll get back to the chat here. But first,
this episode is sponsored by Gaglione Bros Famous Cheesesteaks and Garlic Fries. Their main location is on Friars Road, and you can visit gaglionebros.com for their menu and contact information. You can also enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and inside Snapdragon Stadium.
Getting back to the chat here, Kyle says Manny will get an extension done this spring training. I think Soto will sign an extension as well sometime this year. I disagree about Soto. I think that the Manny extension could happen. Soto, I don't see that. Based on his comments at FanFest, Scott Boras is his agent. He has 2 more years left. Money, guys are only getting paid more money as the years go on. So who knows? Right now, we might think Soto's going to get over 400 mil. Maybe it's a guarantee in the next couple years that he's going to get over 500 mil based on what some other guys get. I don't think it would be smart of him to sign an extension before Ohtani signs a contract. Because I think when Ohtani signs, who is 4 years older than Soto, I think, that can set the baseline, at least for Soto. Like, okay, at least pay me what you paid Ohtani. At least pay me what Ohtani got paid, is what I should say. Because I'm younger. Yeah, I don't do both. I don't pitch and hit, but I'm a great hitter, arguably a better just pure hitter than Ohtani. And I'm going to play every day. Ohtani will hit every day, but Soto, hopefully, or at least for him, his sake, his defense will improve, and he'll have a couple more great years after a down year for him. It was still a great year for a regular player. I think Soto wouldn't. He's not signing an extension unless the Padres give him like $500 million, like right now. He rejected 440, so that's the baseline. We know that's the baseline. And why sign an extension when Ohtani's going to break the bank? And maybe he gets way more than what we expect, and that works even more in Juan Soto's favor. We'll see. Because, and you also got to think that there's a team, let's say Ohtani goes to the Dodgers. Well, then the Mets didn't get him. And so the Mets are going to try to go all out for Soto. Let's say Manny signed the extension, Ohtani goes to the Dodgers. Mets they're going to want to go all out for Juan, right? Or let's say Ohtani goes to the Mets and Dodgers, they're obviously not getting Manny. They're going to want to go all out for Soto. I don't think Soto would go to the Dodgers. Maybe he would, but he just threw that Dodger fan's hat on the ground or something before FanFest last weekend. So it doesn't seem like he's the biggest fan of the Dodgers. But the Giants, the Mariners, the Cubs, the Yankees, the Mets. I don't know how much money the Phillies have, but there's a bunch of teams that would be in this Juan Soto discussion probably. And the Padres would still probably be in the discussion, and they'd have to pay Soto more. So Soto probably wants that. Lance says, Ben, really appreciate your timely updates when Padres news breaks. No, thank you guys for tuning in here. I appreciate it. I'm just a diehard Padres fan. Brian says, this is awesome news. Manny next. Then they can start looking at Soto. Yep. I mean, this Darvish extension, it's big. Like I've said numerous times already today, that was one of the Padres' priorities, or at least that's one of the priorities I think it should have been. It should have been one of the Padres' priorities is Darvish getting this extension done, him and Manny, because Darvish is an ace and Manny's the best player on the team. And so if you're serious about winning, you go get the deal done. You go get those extensions done. We know the Padres are serious about winning. And so I thought that they would get these deals done. Manny, we'll see. But Darvish, it is done. That's a big step to keeping this core together. Irie says, we'll be fine. I think the next 4 years, and everyone is getting overpaid now. It's something we're going to have to get used to. Yeah, I mean, that is baseball. Like, Garrett Cole's overpaid. Giancarlo's overpaid, probably. Judge overpaid when you look at the back end of that contract. Maybe the front end looks good. Bogart's overpaid. Trey Turner overpaid, right? Like, you look at the back end there, like, do they deserve $40 million a year, $35 million a year at age 40? No, but that's what they're getting because that's what the market is. That's what, you're comparing yourself to someone that just got X amount of money and you want more than that amount of money. And so teams have to pay it. If they want that player, that's what they have to pay. Pedro says, so Darvish gave the Padres a hometown discount. I don't know about that. I was thinking, I'm sure a lot of the fan base was thinking, if an extension is going to happen, it's going to be 2-3 years. Because Darvish is 36, 37 years old, And I believe, if I remember correctly, at the end of last year, he told the media he didn't know how much longer he was going to be playing, how much longer he was going to be pitching. And so I thought, okay, well, it's going to be a short-term deal. It's not going to be 6 years. It's not going to be 5 years tacked on to 2023. So I don't think he took a discount. I think this is the money he would have gotten on a 3-year deal in free agency, maybe. I wouldn't rule that out. Based on how much money Verlander and Scherzer got, maybe those are better pitchers, but Darvish is right up there, maybe the tier just below that. And so he's spreading it out. So I don't think it's a discount. I think he's just spreading the deal out with the Padres, getting the money he would have gotten, but spreading it out to be friendly with the luxury tax. Have this be a club-friendly deal still while he gets his money. So it's a win-win for both sides, right? Julian, I don't know which way, says this can be Ohtani or Soto money. Dude, we already extending Machado. I mean, okay, so he thinks the Padres are extending Machado. I think so too. This can be Ohtani or Soto money. It can be, but Peter Seidler has the money to extend Soto. Like, he does have it. He just has to commit that, and then you're not going to spend money, probably. You're not bringing in Ohtani. Like, Seidler has the money. Do you know how much money he's going to make this year? Like, he has money. He's committed to the team. You can't just spend it all on offense, right? I think he was in here earlier on the stream, and he was talking about how you can't spend it all on offense. Yeah, you can't spend all the money on offense. You do need starting pitching. You need elite starting pitching in the postseason. Like, we know that. Go look at past teams that have won. They had elite starters. They had strong starting pitching. You don't win the World Series if you don't have strong starting pitching. So you need it. This was huge. This is key for them. They needed to extend Darvish, or at least extend Snell, or bring in an elite starting pitcher. Do you want Ohtani over Darvish? I guess. But Ohtani was going to cost 4 or 5 times as much as Darvish. Right? So the Padres, in my response to this, Julian, that the Padres have the money. You got to spend some on starting pitching. It can't just be all on offense, or you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Some people might want to say, well, the Phillies had this great offense. Well, they had good pitching too. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, they had elite starting pitchers there too. So I like the move. And even with this Darvish extension, they can extend Manny, and they can extend Soto. If Soto has to agree, but I think they have the money to extend those guys. Based on the revenue that they're going to get, they have the money. Devin says, I wonder if this extension is going to make the Manny extension more complicated and Juan Soto leaving more likely. I don't think so. No. I don't know if this has an effect. I think this can only have a positive effect on Manny coming back. Why would this make a Manny extension more complicated? You don't think the Padres had a plan? Like, they were only going to extend Manny, and they can't. So if they extended Manny, they couldn't extend Darvish. If they extended Darvish, they couldn't extend Manny. No, they have the money to do that. Preller said, I think at the GM meetings, that he was having conversations, or they were going to have conversations about a Darvish extension. Like, AJ, we got to realize, this is all that AJ does. Plays pickup basketball, but he thinks of scenarios all day long. And he's on his phone constantly. This guy is doing everything. He's working 24/7 almost, as close as you can. Get some sleep. But he doesn't get much. He's doing all that he can to make this team better and to keep the core together, right? And give this team as many chances as possible to win the World Series in the next 5-6 years. He has so many plans. If this happens, then what does this mean for this? Like, they've definitely accounted for a Darvish. Okay, if we get a Darvish extension done, what does this mean for Manny, Soto? If you can extend Manny, you go over the luxury tax, right? If you can extend Soto, you go over the luxury tax for future years. I know they've already gone over it, but I'm just saying for years down the line. Johnny, with the question, do you think they'll try to extend Snell to keep a core 3 through the next 3 to 5 years? I don't know. Maybe they'll try, but I think it seems like Snell would want to stay here. I mean, it seems like he loves it here. And why wouldn't he want to stay here? Unless it's like money. But I don't think the Padres are as sure about giving Snell like a 6-year contract as they were about Darvish, even though Snell's younger, because Snell hasn't shown that consistency. Let's look at Blake Snell, because Darvish last 3 full seasons, at least 30 starts. Let's look at Blake Snell. Last 3 full seasons, 2022, 24 starts. 2021, 27 starts. 2019, 23 starts. He's made over 30 starts once in his career. He's reached over 130 innings once in his career. That was the year he won the Cy Young. a 1.89 ERA in Tampa. But he's just not as consistent. I don't know if the Padres can rely on him to be consistently great as much as they can with Musgrove, Darvish for the next 5 years. Let's see who else in the chat here. Yeah, I agree with Mike here. Soto won't care what the roster looks like because the dollar signs will come first. I guess I'll kind of disagree with that. I think he does. He wants to be on a winner. He's not going to go sign with the Kansas City Royals or the Pittsburgh Pirates, I don't think, because there will be other teams that will give him a ton of money that are contenders. He wants to win. I mean, let's get that out there. He can make the money up in sponsorships and stuff like that. But let's say it's the Mets and the Padres offer 400, the Mets offer 500. He's going to the Mets. If the Padres offer 450, Mets offer 500. Probably goes to the Mets. He's going to go to a winner. I'll say that. He's going to a contender. If it's just contenders that are going to be involved in this, then yeah, it's probably the money. FlyGod97 with the question, should the Padres go for Urias next offseason? Julio Urias. So next offseason, it's Ohtani, it's Urias, it's Snell, it's Nola. Maybe they go after Nola and the Nola brothers can play together. Maybe that's something that Aaron wants with Austin. Who knows? I mean, I'd like to have Urias. He's a good pitcher. But I don't how open is he to coming to the Padres when he's been with the Dodgers and he's learned to hate the Padres, right? At least the last couple years. Or definitely this year and 2022, right? I don't know if he wants to do that. I don't know if he wants to leave the Dodgers. We don't know. I don't know. I haven't been following the Dodgers, and are they having extension talks with Urias? Like, are they just going to let him go to free agency? Does Urias just want to go to free agency? I don't know what that situation is. Sure, the Padres should go after him, but he's not someone that I'm like, okay, yeah, we need this guy. Mito Machine says, you going to Japan and spreading the good news to all the up-and-coming Japanese players. Well, okay, yeah, maybe that. But I was just thinking of him and Ohtani being at the top of that rotation on Team Japan in the WBC. Like, just go talk to Ohtani. Do you see this team that we have? You have to be on the Angels this year, dude. Look at the team we have. Do you want to be a part of this? Come sign with us in free agency. That's what I want to have happen. Because players can talk to each other, right? I think it's the front offices. Because we know that players recruit other players all the time, probably, right? Like, do they have mics on them while they're warming up in the outfield stretching? You know, when a team comes to town and they're best buds and that player who's a free agent after the season is talking with Manny, like, do we know what's going on there? Manny's going to get fined for just talking to that person? They can't do that. So why? Yeah, just when you're in private, talk with Shohei. It's not like Preller is talking with Ohtani, like, about it. It's just player to player. I have heard some people say, like, in Japan, like, people don't want, or the players, they don't want to, like, go to the Mariners because of, or maybe they do want to go to the Mariners, but they don't want to join another star Japanese player to, like, maybe that's a sign of disrespect. I don't know if that's a sign of disrespect, but I have seen that. Like, maybe Ohtani doesn't want to come to the Padres because then he's taking the shine away from Darvish, and maybe that's disrespectful in Japan for them. I don't know, but I have seen that floated around. And so, like, Seiya Suzuki went to the Cubs, not to the Padres. Senga went to the Mets, not to the Padres. I don't know how much that is to that. I think it's actually not a sign of disrespect. It could be a sign of respect, because Otani could say, I want to play with Darvish. I've looked up to him. I want to play with this guy. Like, I respect this guy. This is a dream of mine to play with this guy. That's how I would view it. But I don't know how they view stuff, obviously. So we'll see what happens there. Michael says, Ben, what does AAV stand for? Average annual value. And he says, great job as always. One day you replace Jim. Maybe. Yeah, Jim. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, this guy has a job. This guy doesn't prepare for shows, doesn't know how to do updates correctly. No, I'm kidding. I'm not serious at all. I love John and Jim. I love what they've done for me and having me on their show, and I've had them on my show. I love those guys. Let's see. Anyone else want to join the stream here? A couple more minutes. I'll go through some more comments. If you want to join, just scroll up in the comments at the top there. I think it's pinned with a link to the stream. I've had a couple people join and give their thoughts. I think it was Anthony. He said 350 million for Manny is what he thinks. I don't know if it'll get that high. Maybe it will. If it does, I don't think it should be 10 years. I think it should be longer. He thinks that Manny wants that high AAV over Rendon. I don't think the players care too much about that. I think they care about the total money. Like, Manny knows he's the best third baseman in baseball. If he gets more than Devers just got, and this is his second large contract with the Padres, right? The Padres in total, if they give him 300, he'll be making $450 million in total with the Padres. Like, think about that. If it's 350, then it would be 350, 500 million total with the Padres among the 15 seasons. Like, that's crazy. I think they care about the total money. Yeah, Pedro says, I know it's all about the money, but after last week's city tour and Fan Fest, these players would be crazy to leave San Diego. Where else are they going to get this love? Yeah. With the Manny chance and how much San Diego loves him, like, he is a god in San Diego. I assume if Tony Gwynn played in today's game, like, that's how Tony would be looked up as, or that's how I wasn't alive in 98. So is that how Padres fans in 98 looked up at Tony Gwynn? If there was a fan fest on a stage at Gallagher Square and it was in 1998, that's the reception Tony would get, or maybe he'd be a little stronger. But I mean, Manny, he is the guy here, right? Musgrove is the guy. You know, he's one of the big fan favorites, obviously. Tatis, Soto, Chance, Bogarts. We love a lot of players. Ha-Seong Kim, just because it's a Padres town. But Manny's the guy. Devin with the question here. Any update on Pomerantz? Is he healthy? I think he's healthy. Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of updates. He should be healthy, should be ready to go for spring training. But as much as I hope that he's going to be very impactful for the Padres in the bullpen this year, I can't rely on him. Seventh inning stretch says we will need to re-sign Hader too, but kind of doubt it. Yeah, I don't see the Padres bringing back Hader, but it's Peter Seidler. I guess you can't count it out, but he's going to get a huge contract from someone. He's not ranked in the top 100. Did anyone see that? He's not ranked in the top 100 from MLB Network in their list. Last night they started the list, top 100 players, and he's not ranked. If you're a batter, an opposing batter, and you're up in the ninth inning, there's like three relievers that you probably don't want to face, right? Edwin Diaz, Josh Hader, and is it Emmanuel Clase, the Guardians reliever? Probably those guys. If you had to pick three, that's probably who I would pick. How is Josh Hader not in the top 100? He wasn't a top 10 reliever in the top 10 reliever list, which I thought was stupid. I know the ERA didn't look great, right? He had some terrible starts, and that's why his numbers don't look great. But this guy is one of the best relievers in baseball. He's one of the best relievers of the past decade. Not a top 100 player in baseball. That's crazy to me. And to get back to the Hader thing, maybe an extension, I don't see that happening. I'd be surprised. Hader probably wants to go to free agency with the money that's there. And I mean, the Padres, they brought back Robert Suarez, 5 years, 46 mil, I think. He's going to be the closer. Like, that's why they brought him in, for that closer insurance when Hader leaves. If he leaves. I assume he'll leave. 2023, again, must-win season. Because let's assume they don't have Hader next year. You're not going to have as strong of a bullpen next year compared to this year, right? Or at least you won't have Josh Hader. I'd love to have Hader in my bullpen. This year is the only guaranteed year with that. All right, I think that's going to do it here. Episode 334, a happy episode. Padres have extended Yu Darvish through the 2028 season. Big move. Props to AJ Preller. Props to Peter Seidler for getting this done. Peter Seidler continuing to show the baseball world, show the city of San Diego that he is committed to this franchise, cares that this team will continue to have a strong roster for years and years and years to come. That's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in here. Follow at Talking Friars on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, daily Padres content. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss when I go live. You can listen on the podcast platforms as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you.